Because of high metal, ladies and gentlemen, Genshin Impact. Now, that's a game that I don't really talk about a whole heck of a lot, but I've been seeing it float around my timeline for like 2 weeks now. So I figured, it's time I take off the blinders. I step into the world of online video game gambling crack dens, and I look at quite possibly the most popular online casino crack den. That's Genshin Impact. Now, I made a video a long time ago where I actually said that I enjoyed this game, and there was a bit of a post-nut clarity required. But to give you a context required here, I think Genshin Impact is a cool game. I think for a gacha game, it's actually one of the better games out there. Probably one of the best games. And a close contender is Honkai Star Rail, also by the same company. And you know why I think these games are actually great for gacha games and good games in general? It's because they have gameplay. Look, in the world of gacha gaming, one thing is honest. No matter how crappy your game looks or how great it can look, at the end of the day, these are slot machines, okay? And, they're all they need is to look flashy and look cool and draw people in just so they can keep pulling legendary characters, upping their battle point requirement, whatever number exists to represent your team's power score, and just keep grinding through monotonous story beats over and over and over again. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Genshin Impact's big play is they actually have gameplay, an open world, characters that do something different, and are not just sitting on the toilet, watching auto battling go on. But, ladies and gentlemen, Genshin Impact has had its own level of controversy. And, we can look at all the Genshin Impact controversies. Like, for instance, remember back in the day when they got hit with the racism allegations? Yeah, Genshin Impact was apparently, some users were boycotting them because of allegations of colorism, okay? Now, that's not really my place to jump down and really analyze and swatch out each character and just figure out how colorist they are. But there were other situations that I covered myself. For instance, a time where somebody ended up trying to assassinate Genshin Impact employees. Yeah, no joke. Suspect allegedly snuck into MiHoYo's headquarters in Shanghai with a knife. I made a video on this because of how wild it seemed. At the time, April 24th, somebody had actually tried raiding their headquarters and trying to actually go after some of the leadership at MiHoYo because of what they did in Honkai Impact III, one of their other games. These guys make a lot of different gacha type games, okay? If you're not addicted to one slot machine, they got a whole bunch of other ones that look just as good. To give you an idea, 3 years ago, this is one of the best posts summarizing it on r/gacha gaming. If you've been following Honkai Bilibili, for those of you who don't know, is Chinese YouTube, and Twitter for a while, you'd notice a tension in the CN player base. Now, in Genshin's case, let me tell you something. If you're part of the world player base, which is all of us, not basically anybody outside China, MiHoYo doesn't care, okay? MiHoYo doesn't need to care. Their primary player base in terms of revenue, from my understanding, is still their Chinese player base. See, if we get mad, MiHoYo doesn't really care, nor do they even want to bother addressing it. But when the Chinese player base gets mad, oh, you bet there's going to be some response. There's been a lot of backlash from the Honkai Impact 3rd Chinese community regarding the global anniversary event that only the global server got. Honkai Bilibili page got review bombed, and the game's rating tanked almost harder than Genshin's during their Zhongli controversy. If you ever, read up on Genshin Impact from the outside, you probably are like, damn, there's a lot of controversies for just one fucking game. And I would agree. I would agree. That's literally the only thing I know about Genshin Impact a lot of times is, there's a controversy? They're probably not giving enough rewards, which is kind of what I'm getting at here. I would play the video surrounding this event, but it's been removed from a copyright claim by MiHoYo. They do not want this releasing, okay? They want to suppress this from the world, it seems at this point. We could also talk about Genshin Impact's anti-cheat, but you know me and kernel-based anti-cheats. I hate them, okay? And with Genshin Impact, alright, one of the best things about their anti-cheat was how literally their anti-cheat driver was used without even needing the game to actually attack other individuals. And of course, I'm not putting the blame on Genshin for that, I'm just saying that was a funny thing that happened. But of course, let's get down to the current Genshin Impact controversy. But before we jump into it, we have to address something known as Genshin Impact content creator drama. Now, I don't really enjoy drama personally. I mean, from somebody on the sidelines, to me, it's like looking at a train wreck happening in real time. I can't not look away, okay? Like, it's just human nature. And for me, I'm not a huge fan of dramas that involve some really serious implications. But when it's literally people fighting amongst who likes the slot machine simulator the most, then of course I'm going to peek into the game, okay? Now there is some seriousness here, and I will touch upon it, but again, ladies and gentlemen, for the most part, this is just effectively what I have been seeing posted hundreds of thousands of times through the course of the last 2 weeks that I still can't even properly nail down. So let me give you an idea. The first actual ground zero of this jihad was Ziox, okay? An individual who posted this tweet, "The duality of man." Now, in this tweet, he basically showcases two Genshin Impact content creators, Doro44 and Tectone. Now, Tectone has been on the Some Ordinary podcast, so I'm a little more friendlier with him than I am anybody else in this situation, okay? So, full bias is right there. Now, these two content creators, I guess you could say, are like the North and South Pole, okay? If Doro44 is the man that gets on his knees for MiHoYo, Tectone is the man that hates everything MiHoYo does. You just can't win with both of these people, as far as I've really been showcased. And there's nothing wrong with that. Clearly, he likes Genshin Impact, and clearly Tectone is a gambling addict that's in denial. This Genshin Impact update is insane. 4.4 live stream reaction. Ooh. And of course, Tectone's like, it looks underwhelming. But what about but, Tectone? What's the but in this situation? Okay, so if you haven't been following over here, ladies and gentlemen, there have been individuals that have basically chart mapped what the relationship between these creators are like. So for instance, this account known as Box2 made a video called the Hoyoverse Drama Chart. Oh, okay. And if you look at this situation, you can see a whole bunch of content creators. Okay, there's our buddy Tectone in the corner. And there's a whole bunch of other individuals that I don't exactly know the names of. But as you can see, the actual site map around here, Tectone has a lot of issues with people. But of course, the further you go down, all these creators have an issue with at least one or two other individuals. You know who doesn't have an issue? Mr. Positive up here. He don't got any issues, it seems. Now, towards the latter half of this video, if you stayed alive long enough, then you found out that the situation is regarding something known as the 3 Pulls incident, okay? Now, this is just one of many controversies, but it might be the one controversy that recently has sparked this whole situation. Now, to give you an idea, this entire cancer has spilt all over to various other sites. When I'm starting to see it on Game Facts, of all things, you know it's a bit of a problem, okay? Genshin CC drama, whose side are... It's like WWE for these people. All right, it's like WWE. It's like a match of SmackDown for some of these guys. God damn. I love this comment. I support any and all drama. Thank you. This man just likes to watch the world burn. Truly the Joker of the internet. Now, to give you a real idea about it too, there isn't any doubt that there is obviously some favoritism, I would say, by any gaming company towards some of its content creators, which is where some of these allegations kind of drew out to. So the triple triad of the situation is involving 3 content creators, at least from what I have seen and from the names that I have seen show up on my feed. Obviously, one of them is, as you've known, Tectone. The other one is an individual known as Braxophone. And the other one is Atsu, or Asian Guy Streams. These 3 individuals, or these 3 countries, I guess you could say, if you were to look at a map of the Genshin Impact creator, content creator universe, are the people that have effectively caused a lot of issues within each other, okay? They were hashing out stuff that probably should have been hashed out in a private DM anyways, but this situation spilled over not just to these 3 content creators, but to a whole community around them. And while Tectone has a bunch of videos around this situation, like response, Atsu is a horrible, manipulative, deranged human being. God damn. That is 2 hours and 21 minutes long, okay? So if your choice is, I don't know, watch Heat on Blu-ray or watch this, well, I'm sure that's going to be a tough pick for a few individuals. Now, to be fair, I don't know if a lot of this drama sometimes can be kayfabe or whatnot. That's the thing with content creator stuff. I don't know how much of it is genuine, but I did come across one comment thread on the Genshin Impact Reddit that kind of gives more context. So can someone give me any context? Okay, here comes immediate with, it all started with a Ziox tweet, like I showed you earlier. Then Tectone said, I believe. And then Brax laid it all out. Allegedly, Atsu has been singling out Brax and has been spreading false rumors, such as saying he's untrustworthy. What is it with content creators and acting like they're 14 goddamn years old? Atsu apparently has a lot of dealings with Hoyoverse and allegedly blacklisted Brax. Brax has allegedly been left out of many Genshin-related events and ostracized by a bunch of Western Genshin content creators. Atsu made a response. Tectone dragged it out, following by Envy. Who's Envy, you say? We'll find out. Atsu got exposed a few days ago and Brax posted a tweet document. It said Atsu fucked up Braxophone's journey as a content creator for 3 years. Atsu influenced Hoyo staff to give sponsorships, which why Brax never had one over the past 3 years. A lot of Genshin content creator parties where Braxophone was blacklisted, the overall issue, Atsu has that much power to influence Hoyoverse's sponsorship staff and other people, and he did that to Braxophone and other small content creators. So if this is true, it's a really scummy thing because look, at the end of the day, to grow on social media platforms, and people pick specific niches, right? Like if I'm in the creepypasta community or the deep web community or, you know, the cybersecurity community or God, how many communities am I in? Commentary, everything. Then obviously these are small niches, and it's always best, in a perfect world, you want to grow with everyone around you. But there's always going to be that one psychopathic scumbag that exists literally to keep all of the money for themselves in that niche and basically cut out any competition. Look, at the end of the day, content creators, as friendly as they may seem on the internet, a lot of them are psychotic behind the scenes, okay? A lot of them like have to destroy the other to gain power levels. And again, that's if these allegations are true. I have no idea about anything with Atsu. There was actually a Google Doc that Braxophone posted about this individual, but opening it up, I need some goddamn access, okay? And ladies and gentlemen, I ain't begging for the access over here. Either leave that out for the world to see or just stop talking about it. But of course, there was another individual known as Enviosity, okay? My trauma with Tectone, ooh, shit, this must be real. This will be the first and last time I make a public statement about my experience with Tectone, the control he's had on my life, the PTSD, the summary of it all. And of course, this is a 1 in 18 part thread. But just to read out a few pieces over here, due to my recent actions, I've quickly learned that staying silent for 3 years and allowing this to dwell up inside me, rather than addressing it, will regrettably result in hot-tempered takes. It all started with a prolonged period of him badgering me throughout daily streams. I go live when he's live. Envy, let me know before you stream. Half my viewers always leave to watch you. Can you stream later? Yeah, this is actually the thing with live streaming too, because it's like in a live stream market, if there's literally only like 100,000 people that you can appeal to live, streamers probably don't want the other person streaming. It's like gaining your power level, okay? Let me have this. It ain't like YouTube, okay? You can just always go to the next video right after. But it doesn't actually end up good because obviously Enviosity says this eventually led me into a panic attack I've had on stream where because it was on the internet, he now uses that to antagonize me more. This confuses me since he should know better than anyone before being vulnerable when he went on Healthy Gamer to speak with Dr. K. Now, of course, I can leave you to read this all you want, but at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, if there have been feelings and there have been, if people are going through actual panic attacks, then all jokes aside, please seek some actual help, all right? Because clearly, all right, what's happening right now is not healthy for you, and you should be completely disconnected from the internet, at least for a little bit. Even if this is your job should never come before your physical or mental health. And of course, Tectone did obviously respond to some of this, and it was way too long, and obviously not that important for me to really jump into, because at the end of the day, this is, again, content creator drama that probably should be hashed out in the background. I don't understand why it is that in the Genshin creator community that this is suddenly a thing, that everyone just needs to go at each other's throat. Like, it is probably the most fucking filthiest version of online Game of Thrones that I've seen. And I've seen Minecraft YouTubers, so, you know, to be honest with you, you guys are one-upping them. One thing I can say about all these people is that they are gambling addicts, okay? To give you an idea and route it back to the current Genshin Impact content creator controversy, let me go over a few facts with you. Genshin Impact's yearly revenue, at least as of 2022, ended up being around 27.3 billion yuan. And of course, it's not just me saying it, this is actual discussion in the Genshin Impact Reddit itself, where individuals talked about how Genshin Impact made these crazy revenues. And this revenue came from Guangming Daily, who ended up reporting that the state-owned company, MiHoYo, the state company, made billions of dollars in revenue. To give a comparison from a source from Macro Trends, this individual says that Nintendo's revenue for 2022 was 8.6 billion USD, okay? Which makes it so that this is like the revenues are so high that they are taking chunks out of like a big hardware manufacturer, a big gaming company itself. You've got Take-Two, who revenues 5.3 billion, and MiHoYo, who I guess so far is this indie gacha company, has come basically out of nowhere, created crazy products, and has made crazy revenues. Now, of course, MiHoYo's games always come out to like their biggest releases, which are, again, obviously Genshin Impact, and most recently, Honkai Star Rail. And I want to say that Genshin Impact has basically participated in what is a blue ocean market, which is basically being in a market, doing business in a field where there is no actual competitor. And the reason I say it is because when you look at the quality of gacha games around, how many of them have the same level of quality that something like Genshin Impact has? I would wager not very many. The only other game that I could say comes close would be Final Fantasy Ever Crisis. And even that game holds no candle compared to the level of open world, I guess, depth that Genshin Impact has in comparison, or even the quality of JRPG gameplay that exists in Honkai Star Rail. My brother, who absolutely despises gacha games, actually plays Honkai Star Rail on their phone. The only game he has installed is Honkai Star Rail, which maybe shows a testament to how good the quality is when a gacha hater can actually be convinced to play one of the most premier gacha games on the planet. So remember just a few minutes ago when we were looking at Genshin content creator drama, we had come across their recent controversy, the 3 intertwined fates. Now, one thing that ended up showing was around the Chinese TikTok community. And remember, when it comes to the Chinese community for these video games, it's suddenly a bigger deal than you could imagine. It was reported that their Chinese TikTok account, their Douyin account, lost millions of followers because of a riot by the Chinese community regarding specific awards that basically triggered a big boycott on the internet. This had spilled up so much that when you look through their comment sections for, again, anybody talking about Genshin, they were literally tagging in KFC, Pizza Hut, basically any brand that they worked with just to get MiHoYo down a peg. So this wasn't something that was small. When the Chinese community responds and when they boycott something, it goes so viral that it crosses oceans, crosses communities, breaks the Great Firewall of China, and the whole world ends up talking about it. Now, in the world of live service games, it's not typically uncommon that sometimes because of a bad expansion or a bad update or bad rewards, that entirely you lose a lot of goodwill from your player base in a matter of what would be days, weeks even. And of course, one of the better videos on this was why I'm boycotting Genshin and you should too, where from a Genshin Impact players community member, they were actually talking about what Genshin should do around one of their recent updates. And of course, when you look into what people want, it's better rewards, which we'll get to in a bit, but it's also requiring better endgame content and whatnot. Look, at the end of the day, one thing about YouTube and one thing about like online influencers is we don't represent the general casual player base. There's a reason why Call of Duty and FIFA continue to sell record numbers, and even despite the controversies that they generate, and I would say Call of Duty generates a lot more controversy than Genshin, I would say Modern Warfare 3 had probably the most controversy of its release, okay? A lot of people dogged on that game. It almost felt like the Infinite Warfare levels of hate. Yet, it still ended up selling record numbers as it usually does. So we live in a small, very vocal, but a very small community. And I guess that could also be representative of the Genshin Impact community as well too. No matter how many content creators want a boycott, at the end of the day, the boycott's not going to do much when the casual player base is still actively playing the video game. Also, boycotting video games is really dumb too, because yeah, you can say that you're going to have like a week-long boycott or like a 2-3 week-long boycott, but if you end up fucking coming back to it, then guess what? It's not really a boycott. They just know you're going to come back anyways, all right? And if you're not specifically dragging out the whales, which are primarily the reasons why these games make the billions of dollars they do a year, then your boycott also doesn't mean anything. And typically those whales to get them to participate in a boycott about consumer rights and ethics is never going to happen, because those are the ones that have already committed to giving up their life earnings to this gambling crackdown anyways. So what started out with this boycott typically is on Bilibili, the game was getting review bombed. Their YouTube channels, their social medias were going down because they had only received 3 Intertwined Fates as a New Year reward. Now, an Intertwined Fate, for anybody who doesn't know, is basically a roll on the gacha on Genshin Impact. And it all comes down to the stinginess of this game, right? Remember, Genshin Impact revenues in the billions. To give what effectively is such a tiny thing to your player base for New Year's rewards. It's not like this happens all the time anyways. It's just what the audience is dissatisfied with. Now, again, the comparisons that people have been making are insane, because a lot of the comparisons that have been made is obviously Honkai Star Rail, which is another game from the same developers, right? This game seems more generous with rewards than Genshin. It just seems like that to me anyways. The gift of Odyssey every patch, the amount of SJ you get from buying the BP. I'm so brain broken, that's probably the battle pass. The game rewards not only giving us enough for a full 10 pull, but a free 5-star as well. What was Genshin's first anniversary reward again? Just a few food items? Yeah, I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that Hoyoverse is probably probably less stingy with a new release that they want millions of players to feel acclimated to and play compared to an established game like Genshin anyways. This is like comparing the practices from Call of Duty all the way to Diablo. At the end of the day, it's still Activision running the charge, and whatever shitty practices you can expect in one will most likely be reflected in the other as their popularity develops. But again, you know, these two games are still wholly different, so obviously I would need to sit down and talk to somebody that is a Genshin player and an HSR player and probably get their idea of like where the two games truly separate, truly delineate, and where both of these games, where one has the distinct advantage of caring for its player base. Look, at the end of the day, these are gacha games, okay? This is a crack house for people with gambling problems, okay? And when I say people with gambling problems, I mean whales, the people that they cater to. See, with a lot of these games, their big appeal is if you're somebody that's a freemium player, you're at the end of the day not somebody that they care about, okay? Genshin doesn't care if somebody logs into their server and plays legitimately like it's an actual game. They care if you want to actually put money into their service. So again, for them, they just care about the people that are putting their money in, the whales, and that's pretty much what it comes down to. Look, at the end of the day, they're not going to respond to this, and they have no reason to respond to this in any case. This boycott and this situation doesn't really affect the grand scheme of their casual player base, which downloads the app, plays for a few days, and probably gets bored and moved on. But there are going to be some of those people in that player base that stick around and keep spending hundreds of dollars every week and are effectively the whales that keep MiHoYo's lights well on. And that's pretty much what it comes down to for this. Look, no matter how good the gameplay for these games are and how much quality you think exists, at the end of the day, these are gacha games. And this is a gaming franchise. This is a genre of gaming that is basically created to be as stingy as they can. It's a very fine line where you don't just hire game developers, you hire psychologists, you hire marketing specialists that can sit there and find just that right equilibrium, that right pressure point, we call it. And it's literally the pressure point where you can't be too stingy, but you also can't be too giving. Because you get to a point where you need to extract as much money as you logically can out of a player base without pissing them off too much, or without giving them no reason to actually whip out their credit card and start buying shit anyways. But one of the things that I was reading was one from a Chinese player as well. So on Reddit, they basically typed a week ago, breaking down the 3 Intertwined Fates incident. I am a Genshin Impact player from China. Recently, I saw many players in the English community noticed the unfollowing protest to 3 Intertwined Fates in China. However, they do not understand the detail of the protest. So I want to explain the protest to you. First off, you need to have a basic understanding of the environment of the Genshin Chinese community. In China, there are many extreme Genshin players. Extremists, you say. And non-Genshin players who pay close attention to Genshin Impact day by day. They try to find any stain on Genshin Impact to attack Genshin Impact and make it die. In order to achieve this goal, they use a number of means like slandering and criticizing without context. They attack Genshin Impact characters and players disguise themselves as players and troll in other communities. Dude, they're literally there's like tactical trolling. They even often try to prove that Genshin Impact has serious problems in politics and ideology. They report Genshin and its player to the Chinese government. I can imagine there's some troll who's like, Tiananmen Square, and they type shit like that, and then they send a screenshot if the chat goes through, and they're like, see, Mr. Jinping, they were letting Tiananmen Square memes get away, and their servers shut them down. They have no morals and rational thinking. For instance, fucking rich coming from somebody playing in a slot machine crackdown, huh? A firefighter who has disability due to firefighting is being attacked by these people when he is found playing with Genshin Impact. What? Dog, that's gonna require a source for me, homie. I need to see that. One really true situation is China is a populous country, and with an extremely large population, China has to be a country also with extremely large idiots in numbers. So look, this is obviously from someone that is, in defense of Genshin and giving the Chinese perspective. And if you're interested, you can read this Chinese perspective and you want it. But ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, all this came down to was Genshin Impact is more stingier than usual. And obviously, this isn't something that's unexpected. It's a gotcha game. And for content creators who want to pretend or think that maybe things can change, you are abused. You are battered. It's not going to change, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what you can do? You can play better, more respectful games for your time. Do I know where they are? Not really. Play Pal World, I guess. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the Genshin Impact situation. I wanted to discuss this because it's been stuck in my head. I can finally feel like I can leave, touch grass, and leave this brain lock behind me. But anyways, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.